Airline executives started 2025 optimistic about travel demand growth, with Delta Airlines predicting it would be its best financial year ever. Now, President Trump's tariff policies are sparking uncertainty around the health of the economy. Delta, American, and Southwest have all warned that demand may be weaker than expected. Here with insight into how consumers are thinking about travel spending, we've got Hayley Berg, lead economist at Hopper. Hayley, this has been remarkable to hear how Delta has kicked off the conversations and what we've seen from some of the forecast revisions that have come forward. What does this all mean for the traveling consumer?
For consumer, it really means we need to be looking forward to summer and how travelers are going to approach the busiest travel season of the year, their summer vacations. Typically, summer vacations are seen as an inflexible event, something that families plan for, both in their schedules, but also in their finances. We'll definitely be keeping a close look on how early in advance travelers are booking those trips and whether they are beginning to show signs of what we call deal-seeking behavior that are typically something that flare up during times of economic uncertainty.
You know, since it's fresh here this morning with Delta's earnings, I want to play for you just a quick soundbite of what Delta CEO Ed Bastian had to say to us about what they're seeing in the outlook, and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
You know, I want to be cautious because this is early April, and we know the level of uncertainty we have is a bit unprecedented. So I would say that, you know, at the present time, it's shaping up to be a strong, not a great season. Great would be the plan that we had, which is 7% growth for the year. I think our revenue, the word I best describe our revenue at the present time across the board is stalled.
Hayley, with that in mind, how does this potentially mean that consumers may shift where they're deciding their destination is going to be during the travel season?
You know, what we've seen historically is that during times of economic headwinds or times of higher prices, consumers don't eliminate their travel expenditure. They typically just approach that expenditure a little bit differently. They might trade out one destination for another. During the 2007 to 2008 or 9 time of economic downturn, we saw travelers taking fewer trips, but spending a little bit more on each of those trips. So I agree that I think we'll continue to see demand for travel into this summer, how people approach what they're booking and what they're prioritizing in terms of expenditure. That's where we might begin to see shifts if families are thinking differently about their entire budget, not just their travel budget.
So as we're thinking about those destinations, where are you seeing the best deals start to emerge for this summer?
This summer, we're definitely seeing low prices in destinations where there's a lot of competition from airlines and entry of low-cost carriers. Portugal is a great example. It's one destination that has been hot for a couple of years, but continues to offer a really great deal, low cost to get there. And once you're there, in-country, food, lodging, all a little less expensive. So definitely deals internationally. And then, of course, domestically, continuing to see great deals to destinations that Americans love to visit, like those in Florida, California, and many of the national parks as well.
What are the best days to fly? Because I was running some analysis on some TSA passenger throughput data, and it looks like year-over-year comps are the weakest on days like Tuesdays and Saturdays. Is that what I should be planning my entire trip around?
I would absolutely recommend planning your trip around the quieter days. We typically see fewer crowds and also lower prices if you depart for a trip on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Saturday. So for some families, that's not an option, but for those of us who are flexible on when we fly, you can typically save as much as 25 or 30% on your airfare just by shifting your departure date. And my number one tip, do not fly on a Sunday if you can avoid it. You'll typically pay significantly more to return on a Sunday, take that 6 a.m. Monday morning flight if you have to be back for work or school.
And so long-term price outlook here, as we're hearing some of these modifications to outlooks and even capacity is going to be restricted, or at least the growth metric that they were using before, that's going to be reduced. All of those things considered, are we going to be looking at prices also moderate lower, or is that something that's expected to stay in the same range?
I think it's too soon for us to know how prices are going to play out for the rest of this year because we're in a bit of a lull. We're after spring break bookings and we're before summer bookings. And we really need to tune in to what consumers are telling us in the next couple of weeks as they look forward to their vacations in June, July, and August. But overall, I agree with Ed that we are still going to see travel demand this summer. We might not see as great of growth as many of us had predicted. But keep in mind, the growth rates we've seen on travel demand coming out of the pandemic, 22, 23, 24, have been incredible numbers. So some of this might just be expected moderation.
Hayley, thanks so much. Great insights as always.
Great to be with you, Brad.